Hey, I'm Emma Garlett and welcome to Paint It Black. It's almost 1 year since I've been in the media industry. In just 1 year though, I've received hate mail, racist comments and nasty emails. The subject of the comments always talks about Aboriginal people in the negative, while some try to attack me personally. Now, 1 year is nothing compared to many other Indigenous people who've been in the media, some of whom have been at it longer than I've been alive. So, I thought I'd catch up with one of Australia's most beloved personalities who has a wealth of knowledge, a sharp wit, and is one of the legends of Australian media, Ernie Dingo.
You know why they're picking on you? Because you're good looking. They do that to me as well. Yeah, they just look at me and say, to be better looking than me, I'm going to have to say something bad about him.
Join me as I paint it black. Did you experience a lot of racism in your early career? What would
Black Sea, they were words that were used towards me to make them sound better than me. And I'd laugh at it. In the beginning, I didn't know. I mean, I was in year one at school and some farm kids would call me pull the trigger, bang, 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 and they'd run away laughing. And it must have been funny because they were laughing. The end of the conversation was humorous, so off they went. I didn't care. No, they called me I didn't want
So what would you say to them?
Well, I didn't at the time. My cousin overheard what they said, and when they said pull the trigger, he hit them, bang, 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 and we got kicked out of school. The whole family did, because we were troublemakers. And sort of like, I would go to my mum a lot and ask a lot of questions. So, yeah, okay. So it was that reverse side of it, that being boisterous and obnoxious and being racist and calling names and stuff was basically because they didn't understand life. So we had to feel sorry for them. So when somebody called me, oh, you're a dickhead, I'll just say to them, well, that's Mr. Dickhead to you, thank you. And at first, you're not giving them the chance to win. Some of the names that we were called were sort of like, hold me back, getting, after having a bit of a skirmish, teacher grabbed me and said, what was the problem for that? And I said, he called me a and the teacher said, but you are one, aren't you? And that was where I sort of like, nah, this...
Did it get worse when you were in the media and having a career in media as well? If that was happening when you were a kid and then being in the spotlight and
This is all before Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. You got to try and... There's an expression that, or to be the bigger person. Walking into a white lounge instead of the black bar. Getting top, come on, Ernie, do the right thing, In other words, know your place, going over there in the black bar. Getting told to do the right thing and go to the black bar where where your mob are, because this is our lounge. It's like, nah,
yeah,
can't deal with that.
And so yesterday we caught up for a coffee and you were telling me, giving me lots of advice on how to cope, right, when you're getting nasty people comment at you and hating you.
That's because they love you.
Well, do you think it's like a love-hate relationship?
No, that's them showing their love. They just don't know how to say, I love you and thank you for your presence or thank you for your wisdom. People don't say that anymore.
Yeah.
So they say, oh, you're a Nathan, and go off at you. But all they need to do, at the end of that breath, I bet they go, well, I've got it out of my system. But,
yeah.
I mean, there's a few times when you're in traffic and something happens that's out of the norm and you just want to... I got a bull bar in front of mine, I'll take them out or something, a four-wheel drive over the top of them using a speed bump sort of thing. You can't do 85 in a 100 zone. There's another lane for you. And as soon as you go outside and pass them, they duck in behind you and you feel like slamming your brakes on. But you can't, because they're inside their own little bubble.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't know where the out button is or the burst button. So you just got to tolerate them. But if you sink to their level, that's when they win. It's like fishing. People who throw out all this abuse and stuff like that are like fishermen who are just casting out in this dirty, great big sea, hoping to catch something. They're not targeting anything. They're just hoping for someone to bite. And they use all sorts of lures and they use all sorts of baits. A proper fisherman would have about 50 rods, and they're all for different reasons. It's like people having 50 different ways of hating, but don't really know what they catch a fish and then what. But when people chuck racist comments at you, they're waiting for a bite.
Well, if they're doing that then, and they're coming at me, and it's only been a year, so I've only been in the media industry for a year, but the amount of racist comments, personal attacks, it's consistent. And I keep on getting it, and I'm just thinking, you know, it's hard because I guess everyone in some way, you're not going to have everyone that loves you. You will have people that don't like you.
You can't grow if everyone loves you.
And that's the thing, right? So, I mean, you know, you're saying that they want to get a bite, they want something out of it. So almost by talking about it as well, we're giving the people what they want. They want to know how we're reacting to it and how we're responding.
People will vent their anger in ways that are absolutely stupid, that are absolutely ignorant. It's not, we brand them as racist because we put them in a box. We brand them as ignorant because we put them in a box. You know, probably some little old lady who needs a bit of attention. She's, you know, everyone's gone. She's outlived a lot of them. You know, that sort of mentality. And she's got no one to yarn with anymore. And she says hello to people. Hello, people don't stop anymore to have a chat. Oh, I'll call him a name. Or then, she got a bit of attention.
So do you think it is then the older generation that would have these views more than the younger generation because they grew up at a time when racism was more prominent, when the laws and policies actually, it was normal to be racist?
Yeah, it was.
So those perspectives are still held now with a lot of the old people?
It's sort of, you see, you can't teach racism. You can't. You've got to witness it and then try your luck at it. It's like fishing. You can't just go fishing. You've got to learn how to be a fisherman. Racism is the same. See, racism, you know, is just a pigment of your imagination. That's basically what it is. But these days, you brand it and everything. We've got to stop branding, putting things into label, and call it out for what it is.
So do you think the media industry's changed then since you
no,
started?
you can't sell a newspaper if you don't have a bit of Donnell Wallam, not selected in the Diamonds team to go to South Africa. And all the white males, you have a look at all the white males who don't know nothing about netball. Well, you know, this. And you go, I look at it and you see, Donnell's the reserve. She's in the team. But she's not starting, but she's in the team. She's in the squad. But the media will portray that Donnell's been sacked, and they want to sell papers. Good news never make a paper sell.
So this is a thing, right? It's like you can't have everyone agree with you. There's going to be racism all the time. Stan Grant recently stepped out of the media to have a break because he was experiencing so much racism. So this is the question I have.
You should see my stuff.
Yeah.
Even the Twitter stuff. There's some really colourful white people out there. If I'm coloured and all this colourful language is coming out of you, who's your teacher? Where are you getting this stuff from? So bowing down to all this stuff that you're copying, in one way it's a blessing. You know you're hitting a nerve somewhere. Because when somebody calls you or anything worse that you can think of, and I know you would be, they're waiting for you. One of them is going to hit a nerve, or all of them's going to hit a nerve. As soon as you hit that, show response to that nerve, they got you.
So what have you done over the years? You mentioned you had Twitter and you have all the negative comments. And you've had so much racism happen to you over the years, and even now probably still. So what do you do to cope with it all?
I just feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for them because if their mother knew what they were doing.
Does it get to you? Like when you're constantly...
It used to. My latest stoush was the fact that I had one bloke who who had a crack at me and called me an F, and he thought he would escape off the train because he was the last one on. And I chased him. He couldn't move because a whole bunch of people were coming on and blocked him. And he slipped and his foot went between the train and the platform. I dragged him out and asked him to repeat what he said.
Knowing what you know now and having worked in media for such a long time, would you have a career in media?
Yeah, I would. I would have a career in media, mainly because of the fact that it's a constant reminder of what they think is negative. Oh, blackfellas never work. Lazy. There are those stereotypical lines. You know, what's the worst thing you can give a blackfella? A job. So like, well, give me a job. You know, I'd love to have a job. One, to prove that I can do it. I worked in retail back in the 70s, downtown. There used to be a couple of old characters called Billy Coke Bottle and John K. Watts. And they used to dare each other or set things up. Well, JK, he put an advert in the paper for an Aboriginal salesman's at Louis Beer's men's clothing store. And a couple of us fell for it. I went in there as one of the applicants and got the job. I think it was about a year and a half into the job, Louis pulled me aside and he goes, mate, I've got to tell you something. And he told me that it was an advert that John K. Watts put in the paper to try and, you know, give a blackfella a job, and I'm still there selling clothes, men's clothing with Lou Beers. And yeah, it backfired. And I'm glad it did because I did it. I look at the other things that, you know, like first blackfella played state basketball for WA, first blackfella to receive an AFI award for film and television, the first blackfella on national television to kiss a white woman.
How was that for you? And what was the comments?
I wrote the script. Kate Blanchett had no way, you know, she had to kiss me because I wrote it in the script. I was playing lead role and she was in there as a first year out of NIDA, trying to improve her character and get more jobs. And all the work that Kate Blanchett done all over the world, amazing lady.
Did people attack you after if it was a
They
first
didn't know
kissing
until a couple
scene?
of years ago.
Yeah.
The first interracial kiss on Australian television was me and Kate Blanchett 30
It's
years ago.
huge.
Well, hell yeah, she's a good kisser. Yeah. This is the thing that people don't know.
Yeah.
But people, there's nothing wrong with. These days, interracial kiss, 30 years ago, when we done Brand New Day, the TV stage play, 33 years ago, it was the best thing ever. To see this story through Jimmy Chai's eye, amazing stuff. We did it a couple of years ago. Nothing's changed in regards to betterment for people's understanding. And it was so funny doing Brand New Day. At the end of the show, you sneak out in the audience, outside, and these old white ladies think, there's nothing I would rather be than to be an Aborigine. And you go, yeah, good on you, auntie. Go for it. That was our plan. We're supposed to be assimilated to be whitefellas. That didn't work. So we reversed it now. The more whitefellas we can get to be blackfellas.
And do you think that's the way that it should be in the future?
No, it shouldn't have to change people's perception of who they are. Just enjoy who they are.
Yesterday you were saying to me, you can't walk around the street without people noticing who you are and knowing you. And for someone that has such a high profile in Australia and just not even be able to go to the shops to buy bread and milk or, I don't know, go fill your car up with fuel without someone recognising you, how is that for you?
Depends how they acknowledge me. Listen to the tone. I have rehearsed quite a few expressions, releases to how they respond. Hey, Dingo, you mad bastard. Yeah, mad bastard, because I hang around people like you mad bastard. You know, and I'll have a go with it. Ernie, come here, I want a bloody photo. Yeah, it's all want. Yeah, old people just come up and they just, shut up, Ernie, and smile at the camera. I could be talking to someone, these old ducks come up there, and I love them because they know who I am. And that's how they act around me when they see me. Rather than somebody, you okay? I've noticed you've been there for an hour. Yeah, I'm too shy to say hello. And you just did. Said hello. I said, no, don't be shy. Yeah, don't be shy. Yeah, I'm not shy anymore. I used to be shy because I used to think people were going to have a crack at me.
You know, I think back to Stan Grant, and he's got so much integrity in what he does and has been in media for such a long time. And I see him as a really strong person. But now it got to him, like the racism got to him, the media, the people attacking him over the King's coronation. So even if you can keep yourself strong in the inside, it can still get to you.
40 years ago, I was in a lounge room in Canberra. Blak came up to me and he goes, what's your name? I said, Ernie Dingo. What do you do? I said, I want to be an actor. What are you going to do about it? I'll go to Sydney and get a job. What's your name? Stan Grant. What do you do? I'm a journalist. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to go to Sydney. May 1983. That's how long I've known Stan. And for something like this to happen, you got to walk away sometimes. But it's like you only got a certain amount of time doing your job.
Do you think that having a platform has really helped you be able to create change or influence perspectives to improve Aboriginal affairs in Australia?
Only if this mob listen. If they listen to what we're talking about and start working with it. This is what I love in reality. Sitting down and yarning with people, one-on-one or whatever, and just sharing what goes on between us through men's health program that I do. We sit down and yarn about stuff. No one else is around.
Do you have any advice for people in media now, whether they're Indigenous or not, in front of the camera, behind the camera, on what they can do to make sure that we can create safe spaces for people, Aboriginal people, non-Indigenous people that have different needs, to make sure that it's really safe?
Who do you want to be like?
Myself.
There you go. That's all it is.
Has it been hard for you to stay true to yourself?
I only know me. The same person that came down to Perth in 1973, 50 years ago, that was me. You're just yourself. That's all you got. You can change your clothes and be someone, pretend to be someone different, but underneath, I'm the same as I have been. I have one name. My name is Ernie Dingo.
Thanks for joining Paint It Black with me, Emma Garlett. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.